And I say a very good afternoon to you here on Good Afternoon Ghana. I am Bright, and I could see from my studio here at Region Accra, the Queer Boy in my studio. This afternoon is myself and my colleague Desmond Okreku Danso, aka the Star Boy. Permit me to say that I'm not your usual host. I'm sitting in for Annie Efua Ampofo, who comes your way every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with Good Afternoon Ghana here on Metro TV. We are live and active on Facebook and YouTube at Metro TV Ghana, on Twitter, and also on Instagram at Metro TV GH. Follow me personally at Brights, in _. Let's have a conversation. This afternoon, we'll be looking at issues concerning UTAC, TUTAC, CTAC, all giving government ultimatum over their book research allowances. What exactly is government doing about that? We have the details here this afternoon. And also, do you know that the one Ghana city taxation that was earlier placed, we call it Dumso levy, has been moved to begin on the 16th of June this year? What exactly prompted that? We have all the details here as well. And also later, we'll be speaking to the minister, the Volta Regional Minister, on the issue concerning the Blekusu Sea Defense. How exactly are people there coping with their lives and making sure that they are safe in this rainy season and all that? Don't go anywhere. My man, Desi, the Star Boy, he's on standby with the latest happenings here in Ghana this morning.
Right, how are you doing?
Good. It's a Monday. A day. I'm sad because none of our colleagues here gave me meat.
Yeah, they didn't give us the meat. I'll save that when I'm about to leave the set, and I'll give my word to them.
I'm saying that let's keep the same energy when Christmas is here. Nobody should
definitely when Christmas is here, nobody should come
the same energy.
Asking us for anything. Anyway, let's get into the details of the stories. You're welcome to the news update here on Good Afternoon Ghana with me, Desmond Okreku. So we'll take a look at our headlines now. Coming up in the bulletin, the Ghana Revenue Authority officially defers rollout of the contentious energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy by 1 week, shifting the implementation date from today, June 9, to next week, June 16. Also coming up, University Teachers Association of Ghana, the Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, and the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana expressed deep concern and discontent over undue delay in releasing the exchange rate for the book and research allowance. We'll tell you more. Plus, coming up later on the show, we'll be telling you about what is happening in the Volta region, where the regional minister has announced government has awarded the construction of the phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project to Amandi Holdings Limited. The details of these and many more coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. Now we'll get into the details of the stories, and we'll begin from some issues of Galamsey. And the government says it has made over 500 arrests in the last 5 months as part of renewed efforts to combat illegal mining, while also rolling out a major land restoration initiative targeting 10,000 hectares of degraded land. Of the country's anti-Galamsey campaign, the issue continues. The intensified crackdown, according to officials, is aimed at reversing the environmental destruction caused by years of unchecked mining activities. However, the persistently low rate of prosecution is fueling concerns about the overall effectiveness of the country's anti-Galamsey campaign. The issue continues to threaten farmland, pollute water sources, and disrupt livelihoods across affected communities. According to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, one of the biggest setbacks in previous enforcement efforts has been the inability to secure convictions. The minister also reviewed the number of arrests made so far under the renewed operations. He pointed to political interference in the licensing process as another obstacle that had historically weakened the integrity of mining regulation. Amid these setbacks, President John Dramani Mahama has reaffirmed the government's commitment to tackling illegal mining and restoring damaged lands. Away from the illegal mining issues to the health sector, and the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has expressed its willingness to engage with the Ministry of Health, but insists that it will not return to the negotiation table over matters already agreed upon.
The nationwide strike by nurses and midwives that began on June 4, 2025, over the government's failure to implement the provisions of their 2024 collective agreement, which includes allowances, incentives, and improved working conditions. Responding to the strike, Health Minister Kwabena Minta Kando emphasized the need for dialogue and urged all parties to come together to find a resolution. However, in an interview, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association Greater Accra Regional Chairman Jefferson Asari made it clear that while the association is open to discussions, it will not accept any attempts to reopen negotiations on the matters already finalized. He further stressed that among the various groups in the health sector, it is only nurses and midwives whose agreed upon conditions of service remain unfulfilled. The ongoing strike has disrupted healthcare services across the country, prompting calls from stakeholders and the public for a swift resolution. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association maintains that the government must honor its commitment rather than attempt to renegotiate already settled terms. This follows a nationwide strike by nurses.
Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority, the GRA, has officially deferred the rollout of the contentious energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy by 1 week, shifting the implementation date from June 9, that's today, to June 16, 2025. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has announced a new leadership era with the appointment of Dr. Ken Ashigbe as the Chief Executive Officer effective June 1, 2025.
Beside him, Ahmed Dasana Natungma has been appointed as the Chamber's first ever Chief Operating Officer. Dr. Ashigbe, a seasoned leader with a diverse background in engineering, media, infrastructure, and technology, is expected to steer the Chamber's strategic vision, deepen stakeholder engagement, and strengthen policy advocacy efforts. His appointment signals a renewed drive to position Ghana's mining industry for innovation, growth, and sustainability. In his new role as Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Natungma will be responsible for overseeing the Chamber's day-to-day operations and ensuring the effective execution of its strategic plans. He brings extensive experience in mining policy and corporate affairs, making him a strong asset in advancing the sector's operational goals. The Chamber reiterated its commitment to building a responsible and competitive mining sector that contributes significantly to Ghana's economic development.
The Volta region, where the government has awarded Phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project to Amandi Holdings Limited, bringing hope to residents of Agaveji, Salakope, and surrounding coastal communities battered by destructive tidal waves. Now, the Volta Regional Minister James Gunu announced the development in a Facebook post confirming that Amandi is already mobilizing equipment and setting up an operational base at Azizaji for the commencement of the full-scale construction. This comes at the back of recent destruction of properties by the ever-rising waves, displacing thousands of residents who live along the coast while bringing businesses to a total halt. The situation also threatened the only road linking the coastal business towns of Apao through Denu to Keta. to support affected residents. The Volta Regional Coordinating Council, in collaboration with Exim Bank, has provided temporary shelters to facilitate relocation to safer areas. Now, the Volta Regional Minister also revealed plans for a permanent resettlement project to house those displaced by the tidal waves, while expressing gratitude to President John Dramani Mahama for his continued commitment to coastal protection, noting that the Blekusu Sea Defense Project was initiated during his administration. The government has also pledged continued food supplies and medical support throughout the construction period, and the regional minister You're still watching the news updates here on Metro TV with me, Desmond Okrekudan. So now away from that, calls are growing louder for better support for the nation's future engineers, as the president of the Institution of Engineering and Technology is urging the government to extend trainee allowances to engineering students, a move that could reshape technical education in the country.
They build the bridges, power our cities, and keep the wheels of industry turning. But many engineering students say they are struggling to stay the course. Despite their crucial role, engineering students at Ghana's technical universities and polytechnics receive no allowances, little formal recognition, and no policy-backed motivation. At the induction ceremony of over 200 new engineering professionals in Accra, the president of the Institution of Engineering and Technology Ghana, Engineer Henry Kojo Boateng, highlighted a significant gap in national policy: the exclusion of engineering students from trainee allowance programs recently restored for nurses and teachers.
If engineers are to go on strike, what will happen? If EGC goes on strike, Ghana Water, VNRA, these telcos, all of them going on strike, what will happen to the nation? The very people that we are paying them allowances, they are the most people that go on strike. I don't know whether you have to take notice of that, the teachers and the nurses. So I'm of the view that if any allowances need to be paid, then it will be the engineering professionals that needs to be paid allowances. Because currently, when you look at the artisans, we don't have more artisans. We rather get artisans from our neighboring countries, which is not good. The youth are interested, but the issue is they need support.
On his part, the chairman of the Public and International Affairs Committee of the Engineering Council, Eric Atasono, urged the newly inducted engineers to see themselves not just as professionals, but as change makers and innovators.
It is the Engineering Council that regulates the practice of engineering in Ghana. And therefore, whatever we are doing today is only the first step. The next step is for the institution to submit the names to the council to be vetted, and then they will receive their licenses to operate as engineers. Mind practitioners that they owe themselves and the country those qualities of practicing with integrity, practicing with good conscience, and giving back to the country in a manner that the country would benefit.
Support for engineering students today could mean smarter infrastructure and stronger industries tomorrow. The ball is now in the government's court.
Now, the United Nations Population Fund, together with Prudential Life Insurance, has empowered 20 vulnerable female headquarters here in Accra with technical training skills such as styling and painting under the auspices of the KIA Assistance Project. There's more in this report.
Speaking to Metro News, Executive Director, Param African Youth Development, Reverend Aku Honam Kevi, says the aim of the KIA Assistance Project is to change the lives of KIA in Ghana and give them skills-based training to better their livelihoods.
This program is a CASPO program being supported by Prudential Insurance and then UNFPA. And the main purpose of this program is to empower girls with various skills.
She emphasized the need to empower vulnerable adolescent girls to enable them compete in male-dominated businesses such as painting and tiling to reduce unemployment.
But for this particular one is male-dominated skills. And we started with 50 KIA. We did a scanning, we did mind shifting to help them to be able, because a lot of KIA are interested in makeup, dressmaking and all that, but we realized that the male-dominated skills had more money. If you do one tiling, maybe the master will tell us later, you'll be able to earn more money.
Some of the KIA undergoing the skills-based training shared their experience with Metro News.
Yeah, that was July. We was at the street and they told us, so we used to go and come home, but that was last year November, and they rent some house at Dentra. So that's the place we are, and we'll be coming to site and doing some. But it's like when we started, it was difficult, but now dear, it's not that like the first when we started, but now dear we can.
Let's now do some business stories about the T-bills and the auction undersubscribed as government misses targets by 34%. Last week's primary auction saw another undersubscription by the Treasury, with investor demand weakening against a target of 6.67 billion Ghana cedis.
According to the central bank's auction results, the Treasury rejected bids worth 1.09 billion Ghana cedis, despite falling short of its target by 34.39%. Out of the 3.50 billion cedis issued for the 91-day bill, 2.65 billion cedis was accepted. For the 182-day bill, 1.67 billion cedis was accepted from an offer of 1.81 billion cedis, while the 364-day bill saw 48 million cedis in bids accepted out of the 157 million cedis. The selective acceptance continued to anchor a decline in interest rates across tenors, with the yields averaging between 14% and 15%. The 91-day yield was maintained at 14.79%. The 182-day rate eased by 3 basis points to 15.46%, while the 364-day bill declined by 11 basis points to 15.80%. Looking ahead, the government is targeting 7.58 billion cedis in the next auction.
In our Tiny J segment for today, a huge sanitation drive is set to take place on Saturday, June 14, 2025 at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle as part of a national effort to promote sanitation and mark 10 years since the devastating June 3 flood and fire disaster. The campaign, being spearheaded by Let Love Lead, a non-governmental organization, will involve hundreds of volunteers, public figures and institutions, including the Ignite Media. It will also feature donations to disaster survivors, interfaith prayers, health screening services, and public education on the day.
The project is intended to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the June 3rd disaster that happened in 2015. And so Let Love Lead, an NGO, is championing a very massive cleanup exercise at Kwame Nkrumah Circle to create awareness and to ensure that we clean the area, remove the filth from drains, and ensure that the flooding system that we experienced, or the flooding that we experienced 10 years ago, does not recur. One basic aspect of the program is the awareness bit, where we are bringing in experts to tell us about how these flooding occur and to ensure that people do not silt drains with their waste and then live very clean lives. And then also to at least educate the public constantly over the need to ensure that we keep our drains very clean to prevent some of these aspects from occurring again. We call on all Ghanaians of all walks of life that the only destination on the 14th of June from 6 a.m. to midday is Kwame Nkrumah Circle. Come with anything that you can use to clean. There is going to be music, but it is not meant to dance. It is meant to motivate us to work. There are going to be celebrity interviews. There's going to be education. People are going to talk about how we can prevent some of these things from happening again. And so we are inviting everybody, people who are also in the immediate environment. We will appreciate it if they can close their shops for just about an hour or two, come and join us, clean the place.
Managing Director of Ignite Media, Klaus von Backenstein, at a meeting with Let Love Lead, called for attitudinal change on the part of Ghanaians in dealing with waste. He pledged the support of Ignite Media to the campaign.
We do a lot of sanitation programs on our channels. Almost on a daily basis, we cover stories from the communities. My reporter who does that regularly is here, Spendilab. The reason we are doing that, of course, again, as I said, is to provide a platform to educate people on how to manage our waste. Just want to keep saying that waste is not trash. It is gold.
It's a resource.
It's a resource. You're right. It can be turned into different things that are desirable. We have a plant at, Ajin Kotoku. Yes. ACAP, Accra Compost and Recycling Plant. When you see what they are doing there, they actually segregate the waste and turn organic part of the waste into compost for agriculture. The plastic bottles and plastic materials are also recycled and molded back into plastic for bottling companies to use. So that is a great thing that people must know about, and also their behaviors. Don't just throw away rubbish. Keep it somewhere, that when the compactors and the collectors come, they can safely collect it, send it to the recycling plants. But you find out people keep garbage, trash in their cars. People who are expected to be responsible in society, driving along the road and throw those things into the gutters. When it rains, the gutters get choked and the flooding water comes back to us and cause things like that. So we are very interested in what you're doing. And we pray that God will change Ghanaians' minds and attitudes to understand what it means to engage in this kind of awareness to prevent occurrences of such things.
And that's a great initiative that Ignite Media is embarking on with Let Love Lead. And that's wrapping up the bulletin this afternoon. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Desmond Okrekodanso, handing back to Bright Nana Kwesi Amening for Good Afternoon, Ghana. Hello, Bright. So, as I was saying, for the Muslims in this house who decided not to give us anything during the other. Yeah, I'm going to mention names. So we have Salamatu Abdul Razak, Abdul Mumin, host of Good Morning Ghana. That is Moro Awudu, Tornado Nilai, presidential camera technician.
Don't let the Nilai confuse you. He's a Muslim. Don't be confused
so
by
all
Nilai.
of them, we did not get anything from them. That's fine. We hold no grudge. Definitely in December.
Oh, we are counting down to Christmas. Please, if it's Christmas, don't come back to this with anything. Let's see. Thank you so much for the stories. We are grateful. As don't you go nowhere, we're still here on a Good Afternoon Ghana. Live from Studio at Region Accra. The Queer Boy must do very active and loud across all social media platforms on Facebook and YouTube at Metro TV Ghana, on Twitter and on Instagram. Twitter is X. It's at Metro TV GH. I am Bryce Nanakusimini. After this quick 10, our conversations will begin. We are talking about the one Ghana cedi taxation placed on fuel, and also the Blekusu Sea Defense Project. We'll be speaking to the Volta Regional Minister. What exactly is the project? What is wrong with the project? Why isn't it happening? Why are people still suffering from what exactly is happening there in the area? And we'll also be talking about UTAC, CTAC, QTAC, giving government an ultimatum concerning, their research allowances that has not been given to them yet. They might just end up going on strike, just like the NESA also doing. So with us here on the program, we are back from the break with more. Don't go anywhere.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
Smart, smooth, interactive, and a built-in Android active panel made for modern work and home. For corporate clients and university students, enjoy top quality 10th generation Toshiba laptops built for performance, power, clarity, and speed, all in one desktop. At Mycom JA Computers, get a laptop for as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. All products are imported from the USA with a 1-year warranty. Visit Mycom JA Computers today and elevate your tech.
Some movies change the world, and you'll find them elsewhere. Mnet Movies 4 is just in it to change your mood. Great. They turn an ordinary night into something awesome. Make you laugh louder, smile bigger, and feel like a kid all over again.
Yay! This is so much fun!
The only thing our movies are seriously serious about is making you happy. All month long. On Mnet Movies 4 for the easy, cheesy, silly, funny, snort laugh classic movies of your life.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on the program. This is Good Afternoon Ghana from Studios here at Regina Accra on Metro TV. And let's begin the program here this afternoon. My guest on the phone lines is Benjamin Isiam, who is the director for Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. We are talking about what exactly it means for a new date for the rollout of the One Ghana City on fuel liters and all that. What exactly what difference will it even make concerning the change in date and all that? And so, Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. We are grateful for your time here with us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Great. First of all, I know this may be a very light question, but tell me, what impacts will the change in date have on the rollout of the tax?
So, I think that beginning 16th, new prices will be published, and these prices will include the new levy, that is 1 Ghana cedis per liter, and that also means that beginning 16th, the projection is that export prices were expected to plummet by about 9 to 10%. So what we are likely to expect is that if export prices plummet by 9 to 10%, then OMCs will also readjust and include this levy on the price book. So prices are likely going to be the same beginning 16th of June.
But really, if the GRA has heeded to cause by stakeholders to actually move the time from what it used to be to the 16th of June, how important is this change, if I may ask?
It has a lot of things because one, some of these taxes, some of the OMCs pay these taxes upfront, what we call the cash and carry. So they pay the taxes before they even load, and giving them a shorter time to readjust their sources of cash or their sources of liquidity to be able to procure these products was something that I think was not in their advantage, but rather disadvantage. So a longer period will help them readjust and also talk to their banks. Those who take loans to procure products will talk to their banks. Those who have to go to the banks to get new bonds, whether insurance or bank bonds, right, be able to load these products, will also do that. So I think a longer period will help them put themselves better in terms of procuring similar volumes they are expected to procure beginning today. If you look at the history of some of these levies, sometimes it even takes 2 months. For example, if you look at SPT, Special Petroleum Tax, which was introduced in November 2014, its implementation started in January. If you take ESLA, for example, which was also introduced in June 2015, its implementation took effect in 2016, January 2016. So these are times that the policy formulators and also the policy implementers, who are mostly the OMCs, sit together, and find better ways of implementing this policy that does not disadvantage either the policy formulator or also the policy implementer. And I think that is why COMA came out strongly that the time was too short for them.
Now, you are one of the people who strongly believe that government should have actually undergone consultations with stakeholders before laying the policy in Parliament. What exactly would have changed, or what role would have the consultation played in implementation of the one city on fuel prices?
First of all, this resistance wouldn't have come, especially from commercial transport operators. They are the major consumers of this product. If you are doing a consultation, first you need to do what we call stakeholder mapping. And in any industry, there are critical stakeholders who are likely going to be the implementers of the policy or the bearers of this particular policy that comes in. So in your stakeholder mapping, there are those beyond the formulation, policy formulation level, which includes Parliamentary Select Committee on Energy and Mines, beyond the Cabinet, beyond the Ministry of Energy and also Ministry of Finance. You also ought to have engaged the COMA, because they are going to implement this policy. You also ought to have engaged GPRTU and other consumer bodies, especially Ghana National Chamber of Commerce. But none of these consultations were done. If they were done, at least they would have told you how much they were willing to contribute for us to defray some of these so-called procurement of fuel or some of these so-called debt. But no engagement was done. And that is why when this particular policy came into effect through the amendment of the Act, there was a huge resistance.
Right.
And I believe that in policy formulation, consultation is key, and critical mapping of the stakeholder to get effective policy is also key, which this particular government failed to do. And that is why we also believe that as SEMSE, we think that over the years, we think that imposing levies on petroleum products is the remedy to the debt situation in the power sector. However, evidence shows that the more we pile up levies on the petroleum product, the more the debt compounds, because the critical contributors of the debt have not been addressed over the years.
Right. But the government also believes that this time is the right time, looking at the fact that there are reductions in crude prices. Are they right?
We don't use crude prices in setting up price of petroleum products locally. We use finished products to set prices. Yes, they may be right somewhat, because in February, we're procuring some of these products in metric tons around $750. Today, as we're speaking, we are procuring some less than $690 per metric. So on the international market, prices have plummeted. The second part also is that the cedi has also been very favorable. In February, we're using almost 14 Ghana cedis, 90 pesos to set prices. Today, we are using around 12 Ghana cedis, 16 pesos to set prices, and likely going to use 10 Ghana cedis, 28 pesos to set prices for the next window, which begins from 16th. These are favorable conditions for the end user. We have to look at it from a larger perspective that if you look at what we call the household expenditure on utilities as part of the general expenditure of the household, it's around 15% now.
Right.
And Ghana Statistical Service has made us aware that when the Russian-Ukraine conflict started, most Ghanaians were pushed into energy poverty because some of the supply disruption on the international market hiked the price of these petroleum products, which affected the price of electricity as well as price of petroleum products locally. It also affected our currency because one of the highest years that our currency appreciated was 2022. Sharp appreciation, especially in October, which also led to the 22 Ghana cedis 49 pesos per liter we talk about when we are discussing some of these fuel price reduction.
Right.
So the consumer has borne these levies, has borne higher prices of petroleum products and still continues to bear these higher prices of petroleum products. This is a time for them to get some of respite by getting some windfall that will help them to save and also invest and also improve their living standard at the household level. This is also the best time for some of the manufacturing companies that export products across overseas or abroad also benefit, because when currency begins to appreciate, especially the cedi appreciation against the dollar, makes their products very expensive on the international market comparatively to others. So when they are getting cheaper sources of production in the form of fuel, it helps them to be able to stay in business, expand, and also employ more people. And I think that we should allow them to benefit and also begin to save to draw back some of the cost they have incurred over the years. Because of price hikes. But taking it away from them, thinking that will resolve the power sector challenge is what I think that will not help, because it is not going to resolve anything. The challenge will keep on being with us until we face the critical contributors of the challenge and then resolve them once and for all.
Ben, I know that you probably may have followed the conversation about this on social media or among some group of people who have heavily compared this levy to what the NPP government implemented, the e-levy, asking the impact it will have on payees, the amount and the percentages. Let's educate people. What are the differences?
Okay, I think that if you look at a fixed levy, a fixed levy, what is in cedi terms, 1 Ghana cedis on each liter, which means if you procure 100 liters, you are paying 100 Ghana cedis for that, compared to someone transmitting maybe 100 Ghana cedis, and that will be about 1% of the 100 Ghana cedis will be about 10 cedis. I don't want to go into that particular comparison. My issue is that if, as a country, we want to resolve the issues of the power sector, we want to ensure that we have energy security, that's reliability of power, affordability of power, and stable power, then means that the critical issues that we must address, we must be bold, very innovative, we must adapt appropriate technology and very conscious in terms of policy orientation and also policy formulation to resolve this critical issue once and for all. But thinking that the best way to resolve it is always levy. And let me give you the history of these levies. In 2015, we brought it, we couldn't resolve it. In 2019, we amended the act, added some passwords to these levies, we could not resolve it. In 2021, we could not resolve it. What shows that in 2025, we're able to resolve it? We cannot resolve it because the critical challenges are still there and we are not addressing them.
I was just about to ask you about the feasibility of this implementation. I mean, how do we ensure that money is being taken as taxes, the one Ghana city from every single purchase we make is actually going to the coffers to solve the problem rather not ending in somebody else's pockets? How do we trace the implementation and usage of the monies?
I think fortunately for us, if you look at the ESLA carefully, it has one of the sections that talks about reporting of the levies and how they've been utilized. And over the years, we reported on their utilization. So for that, the law is categorical. So the law ensures transparency with respect to its utilization and also reporting the amount we realize from collecting these levies. So the laws are there. I think even this year, by September, we are expected to launch that of the 2024 because it comes later in a year. But so the report tells us what we should do. The challenge with respect to some of these levies are that can you imagine whilst we are paying, there are some OMCs also keeping some of these levies in their pockets, and they don't even refund to government. And we have almost 400 billion plus Ghana cedis with OMCs that have not paid. And I don't know whether today we will ensure that these OMCs pay these levies. So whilst Ghanaians are being asked to pay, there are people who are also keeping these levies without paying to government, and nothing has been done to them. That is one. Now, the second part also is that the sustainability of these levies, whether they'll be able to resolve the challenges of the power sector, also depends on how we're able to solve some critical challenges. And I'll continue hammering on that, critical challenges. For example, the levy, we are being told will generate about 5.7 billion Ghana cedis annually, beginning 2026. The system losses at ECG alone is about 9 billion Ghana cedis. So the levies cannot even defray the system losses at ECG. So the levies will not be enough to defray that particular debt in the energy sector. What I think that the levy is rather going to compound the situation in the petroleum sector, because beginning August, the city has had its highest appreciation to about, I think it's now 10 Ghana cedis, 28 pesos. It is likely not going to appreciate beyond 10 Ghana cedis, 28 pesos. If the city doesn't appreciate beyond 10 Ghana cedis, 28 pesos, and prices of petroleum products begin to surge in the month of August, what it means is that we are going back to old days where prices begin to surge locally, export price begin to surge locally. When that happens, are we going to take the one Ghana cedis levy off? I don't think so, because there's no also sunset clause, and that also contradicts government's position that it is a temporary levy. A temporary levy shows us that when there's a sunset clause, we all know that government is mobilizing these monies for some time and pays debt or procures fuel, and the levy will not be there again. But there's no sunset clause. It means that government is going to take this levy in perpetuity.
All right, Ben, quite interesting. The fact that you mentioned that it's rather going to compound the issues at the petroleum sector is quite intriguing. Hopefully, these issues are fixed for us to have lights throughout every single time. And so, Benjamin is here. Thank you so much for coming here with us on the program. We are grateful. And Benjamin is here, Executive Director for Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. So, if you wonder what we are talking about here, now the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has officially deferred the rollout of the contentious energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy by 1 week, shifting the implementation date from June 9 to June 16, 2025. What exactly are your thoughts? Not to forget, now, the GPRTU had intentions of embarking on a demonstration tomorrow, the 10th of June. What exactly will be the situation now that there's been a shift from the dates? Moved to the 16th of June, and I've been joined on phone by Samuel Amwa, who is with the GPRTU, for a quick conversation. Thank you so much for joining us here, sir. Grateful.
Thank you for having me, bro.
First of all, how do you take the shift in date for the implementation of the one Ghana cedi on fuel prices?
Thank you very much. Let me say good afternoon Yes,
Yes, good afternoon.
Yourself and your viewers. Yes, the shifting of the date is not a much problem to us, but our concern is that, if I recall, all we're saying is we want the government to, reverse that decision of taking the 1 Ghana cedi. Then 2, we are asking the government to engage with the commercial transport operators, that the leadership of commercial transport operators, so that we'll seek for further explanations, and we also will have some other questions to ask, and if we also have some input, because we think the 1 Ghana cedis, will be a burden, or it will add some additional cost to our operations. That is what we are saying. So we gave the government up to tomorrow on the 10th that they should do what we are asking them to do. Else, the next day being the Wednesday, we are going to embark on a sit-down strike. So that is what we are looking forward for the government to do for us. So today, we are almost ending the day. We've not heard from them. We have the whole of tomorrow. We don't know, maybe between today and tomorrow, maybe there will be an engagement, but we've not heard anything from them. But if it feels that it means our concern will not be like shifting of the date to, the 15th or whatever whatsoever. But our concern is we must be engaged.
But then have you made the move to speak to any of the stakeholders involved, like the finance ministry, to let them know what exactly your motive for what you intend to do really is?
You see, we've not done that. We've not sent any petition to them, and we are a bit disappointed in the leadership. The reason being that, you see, when they wanted us to reduce our transport fares, quickly they wrote to us, and they engaged us. We had a conversation, although in the meeting we find out that the only component that has come down is the fuel price. That is 18% by then. And if we are to go strictly by the reduction of the petroleum product, then it means that the fare even has to be reduced by only 6%. Right. But based on the explanations, negotiations, and all that, we all came to understanding that let's use the 15, and that other component will also come down. So what stops them from engaging us when they also want us to pay something, to add up some cost to our operational costs? What is stopping them from doing that?
Right, and has it come to your notice that also even the implementation of the reduction in prices of transportation, some drivers and conductors are still insisting fares are paid as they were before? Do you know that?
Yes, we've had one or two information from some areas. Wherever we had an information that those drivers are from our unions, our station, quickly we call on the leadership of that branch and we make sure that they do the needful. But those that are not with any of the unions are those that have, we are finding it very difficult to control. Most of them will be giving an excuse that yes, so the news was that the spare parts and lubricants and other things will also come down. It's not coming down and blah, blah, blah. That is where we do find some challenges. But I can boldly say that, to our side, the majority have complied to these directives.
Just so we let people know what exactly you are talking about, reiterate what exactly you intend to do the day after tomorrow, like you've mentioned. I mean, earlier you mentioned tomorrow, but then now that you've heard a shift in the implementation date, you intend to give them ample time to about Wednesday, which is 11th of June. I mean, let's tell people what exactly you intend to do when your calls are not heeded to.
All right, so what we are going to do is to just call on a sit-down strike. We are not demonstrating. Yes, we are not demonstrating. We are not hitting the road, the street. All that we are doing is we are asking our members to park their vehicles. We will not move.
That is still demonstration in silence.
Anyway, okay, let's put it that way. My interpretation of demonstration. Okay, yeah, we are demonstrating. Yes. We are not hitting the street anyway, but we are going to do in a more respectful way. those vehicles, those vehicles are for us. Government, never bought any vehicle for us. We have toiled to get those vehicles, and we are using those vehicles to serve the country. And we are going to park them, and we'll make sure that we'll not move, for us to even go to the filling station to go and buy fuel. That is exactly what we are going to do.
We hope and pray that we hope and pray that it doesn't get there. But
we don't even want to get there, because we remember on the 6th December 2021, we all know what happens in the city of Accra and some other areas when we embark on a strike for some few hours. It was very, very dangerous. We don't want to get there.
All right. Thank you. But anyways, are you also making the passengers who board these commercial vehicles know that you intend to go on this sit-down strike or silent demonstration like you do? So that, people who may have to walk from, let's say, Kaswa to Ridge will probably just wake up early to, use their foot as their vehicles.
Yes, communications is ongoing, and, information are going down, and we are, through your media houses. Nowadays, hopefully, social media, I can say almost every Ghanaian, about 90 to 95% of Ghanaians are using, smartphones, that they know whatever goes on. So this information has gone down. And even, do you know that we have some even private car drivers that they are all ready to join us in this fight, because it's going to affect all of us.
Interesting. We are going to be following up on the issue keenly, and hopefully whatever update that you have to give the public, you tell us first. Just not in a rush, but we still want to make sure we give our viewers and our listeners the news here on Metro TV. We are grateful.
Yeah.
And
so
Samuel Amwa is Deputy PR for the GPRT, speaking to us here on Good Afternoon Ghana concerning the intended silent demonstration, or what they call the sit-down strike, where transport will not work and commuters probably may have to use their Lexus, as transportation. Anyways, thank you so much for watching us here on that particular conversation. Let's move on to another one. And we are talking about a strike, or probably what we end up seeing as a demonstration from UTAG, CTAG, and the rest, including CTAG and TUTAG and all that. Listen, and they are saying that the colleges of this association, Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, have given the government an ultimatum to release the exchange rates for book and research allowances and commence payments by June 30, 2025. Failure to meet this deadline will be considered a strike notice. The unions announced in a joint statement signed on June 8, 2025. The unions expressed deep concern and discontent over the undue delay in releasing the exchange rates and payments, which has caused significant uncertainty and frustration among their members. Now, the unions resolved that they will not accept an extension of payment beyond September 2025 and stress that the allowance is a statutory entitlement under their conditions of service. The unions urge the government to act swiftly to avoid any disruption to the academic calendar and prioritize the welfare of teachers and the broader academic community. So let's talk more about what exactly this means for these people who are embarking intended strike, and probably giving government an ultimatum to fix these problems, or they leave for whatever they plan on doing. And I'll be joined on Zoom by Professor Ilyasu Mumuni, who is the National Secretary of UTAG, for a conversation. He joins me here on Zoom. Good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to Good Afternoon Ghana. We are grateful for your time here with us. Prof, kindly unmute. I can't hear you from our studios here. So please unmute, let's have a conversation. And as you do that, I want to ask you my first question. Has there already been an initial conversation about this plight? And if yes, what was the response from government? Prof, apologies, but I'm still struggling to hear you from our studio here. So please, let's keep trying to unmute and hear you clearly. Please, let's do that. Let's do that. And Professor Ilyasu is a secretary, national secretary to UTAG, who are calling on government to give them what is owed them or what is due them. concerning monies that are to be paid on research and all that. They want the recent or the current adjustment in monies like the Ghana cedi that are appreciated to reflect in the payment to ensure that they don't find themselves wanting. And so Professor Ilyasu is joining me. Professor Ilyas Mumuni, who is the National Secretary of UTAG, is joining me on Zoom. He's currently on Zoom, but trying to unmute for a conversation to be had here on the program. Sir, if you're back and your sound is clear, let's try this one more time. Good afternoon to you, sir. Prof. Ilyasu.
Yes, sir.
Great, I can hear you, but kindly speak up as well so I can hear you clearer. Even though I can hear you, please be a bit vocal for me. I would really be grateful. First of all, my question I asked first was, have there been an initial conversation with stakeholders, especially government, and what has been their response, if yes?
Yes, so we've had several engagements with government, in particular starting with Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, who are our immediate regulators through the Ministry of Education. And oftentimes, what we do is to prompt them regarding the processing process of our book and research allowance. That we've done, and they have subsequently written to the Ministry of Finance asking for the 2024-2025 academic year book and research allowance rates being issued. Now, that has always been the process where GTEC will write seeking for this, and then Bank of Ghana through Finance will in turn write back to the universities for onward processing. And that we've followed through. We've witnessed the paperwork that really has happened. However, when it comes to the Bank of Ghana and Finance Ministry issuing the rate that allows our universities to proceed with the payment, we really haven't had any commitment and communication in that effect right from April up to now. And that is why we are calling on governments to speed up with that process, especially within this week, because there's so much of uncertainty and uneasiness amongst our rank and file that we think we have to let government know the frustrations that members go through, that by close of this week, if we are able to get an action in that regard, it will significantly help our cause. So basically, that has been the engagements we've made when it comes to this issue of book and research allowance.
Right, and I'll also be grateful if you're able to tell me more about the ultimatum and what you intend to do if these conditions are not met.
Yes, so oftentimes when it comes to the issue of the ultimatum, we are hoping that when it comes to issuing an exchange rate by Friday, and then instructing universities to immediately process payments, it's not something very difficult for governments to do. That we expect, even though such delays, brought us to this level, but we expect that from today up to Friday, it's something that is within the power of government.
Did you say Friday?
That if they really want to have the harmony of our industrial space, it's only appropriate that a very active initiative is taken in this regard. And then we will continue to have the calm tertiary front that we've been enjoying up till now. And so we don't expect this to travel where next week, because if that happens, it becomes a bit of a challenge. And we will have no choice then, as per our letter, now move to the next cycle of declaring an industrial strike.
If I heard you right, did you kindly say Thursday or Friday?
Yes, this particular Friday, which is 13th of June.
13th of June, right.
Yes, is the period that we have actually requested for government to, as a matter of urgency, provide these rates and instruct our universities to proceed same to effect payments.
Aside governments making a move or trying to release the exchange rates for the books, do you have a particular figure in mind that in case there's a consultation or a conversation meeting between the both of you, you may want to lay in front of the government and the stakeholders?
a particular figure?
Yes.
Oh, for this, we have a standardized formula that is often being used. And yes, even though now the city has really stabilized against the dollar, but oftentimes the traditional process has always been to use an annual average of the previous year in terms of the city dollar performance, and then the rate is applied. And so amongst ourselves as scholars and government, in particular for Bank of Ghana and finance, we knew the ideal rate that we expect, that we think government wouldn't attempt to change the tradition by way of computing the usual formula we all know.
All right. Thank you so much for coming with us. Before I let you go, is there another thing you want to say to government and the public?
Sorry?
I'm saying before I let you go, is there any other thing you want to tell government or the general public?
Yes, so we just want to let government know that the issue of threat and going on strike is never the calling of any other union, in particular for university teachers, because at the end of the day, the burden comes squarely on us as teachers. And if you observe the academic calendar of the public and technical universities, they all vary. And to the extent that all of us are saying, if this doesn't happen, we'll have a total shutdown, will be something that we entreat on government to look into that direction so that such an event can be forestalled. And yes, so that is a call we're making to government.
All right, thank you so much. Professor Ilyasu Mumuni is the National Secretary for TUTAG, talking to us here on Good Afternoon Ghana about the ultimatum and request for government to release exchange rate for book and research allowances and payment. And so if you want more information on that, it says the University of Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, and Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, TUTAG, and the College of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, have given government an ultimatum to release the exchange rate for the book and research allowances and commence payment by June 13, 2025, which is this Friday. Failure to meet the deadline will be considered a strike notice, and unions announced in a joint statement signed on June 8, 2025. The unions expressed deep concern and discontent over the undue delay in releasing the exchange rates and payment, which has caused significant uncertainty and frustration among their members. The unions resolved that they will not accept an extension of payment beyond September 2025 and stressed that the allowance is a statutory entitlement under their conditions of service. The unions urge government to act swiftly to avoid any disruption to the academic calendar and prioritize the welfare of teachers and the broader academic community. And so we just spoke to Professor Ilyas Mumuni, who is the National Secretary to UTAG on the issue, telling us that they're waiting till Friday the 13th, and if nothing is done, they will embark on their strike. We're still here on Good Afternoon Ghana. I am Bryce and Akweseme. No wonder when we come back, we'll be talking about issues in the Volta region concerning the Blekusu Sea defense. What exactly has been the update? Stay with us here on the program. We are back with more.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
And so still, a very good afternoon to you here on Good Afternoon, Ghana. I am Bright Nanakwesi, and welcome back to the program. Very live and active on social media, on Facebook and on X at Metro TV Ghana, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Metro TV GH. Stay with us here on the show. Now, let's bring you our next conversation. Now, government has awarded phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project to Amandi Holdings Limited, bringing hope to residents of Agaveji, Salekope, and surrounding coastal communities battered by destructive tidal waves. Now, Volta Regional Minister James Gunu announced the development in a Facebook post, confirming that Amandi is already mobilizing equipment and setting up an operational base at Azizaji for the commencement of the full-scale construction. Now, this comes at the back of recent destruction of properties by the ever-rising waves, displacing thousands of residents who live along the coast while bringing businesses to a total halt. The situation also threatened the only road linking the coastal business towns of Aplao through Denu to Keta. To support affected residents, the Volta Regional Coordinating Council, VRCC, in collaboration with Exim Bank, has provided temporary shelters to facilitate relocation to safer areas. The Volta Regional Minister also reviewed plans for a permanent resettlement project to house those displaced by the tidal waves, while expressing gratitude to President John Dramani Mahama for his continuing commitment to coastal protection, noting that the Blekusu Sea Defense Project was initiated during his administration. The government has also pledged continuing food supplies and medical support throughout the construction period. And so, gratefully, I've been joined by the by the Volta Regional Minister, James Gunu, to speak to us on this particular issue. And thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon, sir. We are grateful.
It's my pleasure.
Right. Now, what is the situation like in the area as we speak currently?
Thank you very much once again. Let me say good afternoon to your audience. The situation at Agaveji, Asalakopo, and Amuchinu is very calm because hope has come to the people in the area. It all started some years back when the tidal waves continued to hit their community and displacing over 1,200 people in the area. But we thank God that the timely intervention of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who visited the community on the 6th of March this year and promised that he will instruct the finance minister to make budgetary allocation for the construction of the phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project. And lo and behold, the finance minister did that and went further to issue a commencement authorization for the procurement of the defense project to commence. And where we are now, the project has been awarded to Amadi, who did the phase 1 of the project in 2015-2016.
Right.
In fact, after the phase 1 of the project, feasibility studies was conducted. The process was, to commence for the award of the phase 2. And the NDC lost power. And since that time, the previous government never budgeted for the continuation of the project. And the tender waves continues to hit the people. Nobody attended to them except President Mahama, even in opposition at the time, was providing the people with some relief items. And at the point, if your audience will recall, there was this comment that came from the then running mate of the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's running mate, Napo, that if his government budgeted for the sea defense project, he was going to organize a demonstration against the government. We went through all these things, this emotional torture. And hello?
I can hear you, sir.
Yeah. And fortunately, when His Excellency the President Mahama said it, he fulfilled. That tells us that His Excellency President Mahama is really the hope of the good people of Agaveji, Salakope, and Amuchinu, and the entire nation.
But really, what has been the contribution of the Municipal Assembly as well as the central government in making sure these affected persons are properly catered for as government goes on to construct these phase 2
Yeah,
of
thank you very much. The Municipal Assembly, together with the Ghana Gas Company, started a housing project under the MPP. The contractor on the project took money. He never executed the job. The little work he did was shoddily done. If you touch a block that was laid, it was peeling like powder. The president visited the place and directed that the project be looked at and relocated to a new site and properly executed. I have written a letter to the Ghana Gas Company Limited to come to the aid of the people and continue that project in a different form. That at the end of the day, the project will benefit the people, whereby they can move in permanently in order to have shelter.
Tell me about the euphoria among your constituents or your people in your region after hearing that the president is coming to construct the phase 2.
It's a huge relief because that is going to bring this suffering to an end, a permanent end. So it's a huge relief, and the people are happy because they have never seen this thing before. This is the biggest, news ever that they have received. And it's not that they have received the news, they are seeing evidence of relief on the soil where the contractors have started moving equipment and setting up their offices for the commencement of the project. The president will soon be cutting the sword for the commencement of the project and talk to the entire nation because he cares for the people. He loves them, he feels their pain. And fortunately for them, we have also, the Regional Coordinating Council has also, in collaboration with Exim Bank, has provided temporary tent. The Municipal Assembly has prepared a ground for the tents to be mounted for them to move in so that there wouldn't be any human activities along the coast to disrupt the construction activities. The road linking Keta and Denu, that road is also being affected. The electricity, high tension poles have been affected by the tidal wave devastation. Fortunately, the electricity company of Ghana has also awarded a contract for the relocation of the high tension poles. So there are a lot of activities going on there that is serving as a relief for them. We are also providing them with food stuff. Recently, when a decision was taken to terminate the contract of school feeding caterers, it affected the community quickly. When we appealed to the authorities, the sector minister, the Honorable Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, and the National School Feeding Coordinator, that they should restore the school feeding program over there because of the situation in which they find themselves. Quickly, that was restored, and the children are eating over there. There is also a request now coming for us to consider the senior high school children as well, to hook them onto a feeding program. That we are looking at to see how best we can, consider providing at least 1 square meal for the JHS students also, because the livelihood of their parents have been affected by this devastation.
Honorable, a quick one here, please. This wouldn't be the first time we are seeing the equipment being moved to sites. We are seeing the hole being dug by the person in charge and work starting. And sometimes, many a times, construction or the work don't see day of light. People tend to halt in the middle of it. How sure are we that this project will conclude beautifully and give some sense of freedom to people who live around this coastal line?
If you look at the trend of development in the area, we have never seen a budgetary allocation being made and read by the finance ministers in the past. Ken Ofori-Atta never budgeted for the construction of the Sea Defense project. The one who succeeded him never did that. But Honorable Ato Forsen has done that on the directive of His Excellency the President. That has been done. And contractors have moved to site. What again do you want to see in order to believe that this work will be done? I have provided,
once it's completed and completed well, then we can say well done.
The Regional Coordinating Council, we have provided tent for the people to move. They should move into the tent and make way for the construction activities.
Are you facing difficulty in telling them to move, to make way for the construction?
We are not facing any difficulties as far as that is concerned.
Right.
We faced it in the past, but now that difficulties has been removed because they understand that the dilapidated structures in which they are putting up, can fall on them. I myself have visited that community.
Right.
About 5 times since I assumed office as regional minister 3 months ago. I've been there. I spent the night in the open with them on the 5th of March to 6th March. I spent the night over there with them. I felt the cold nature of the weather. I have that same feeling that they are going through. So we are very much passionate about this situation, and we are committed to solving the problem permanently. And the permanent solution is the construction of the defense project, which His Excellency the President is committed to, and has demonstrated that by instructing the finance minister to put it in the budget. If the past government has not done, this President Nana-Addo never did.
This is a 4.2 kilometer stretch, right?
The commitment level of the president, it is very high. That is why we see him as the hope of the people. And very soon, as I indicated, he himself will visit the community and you will see action on the ground.
Now, Mr. Minister, I was asking earlier, this is a 4.2 kilometer project, right?
Yes, it's spanned across the 2 communities, the 3 communities and beyond.
I'm seeing Agaveji, Salakope, Amutunu, yes.
I'm not a scientist. But it is showing that, if you look at the phase 1 that was done, that site is not being affected. And if you look at the Togo side, they also have a defense. So in the middle part that is not protected has become so vulnerable.
Right.
So the experts have seen the devastation and they attribute the protection of the 2 sides and the open nature of the way the communities are exposed to the sea as one of the causes. Apart from what is generally known as, climate change effect. There are other factors that are contributing to this. And the moment the defense project is constructed, we believe that we will find a permanent solution to this whole disaster in the communities.
Honorable Minister, initially the Ketu South Municipal Assembly was requesting an amount of $83 million for the construction. Is that the same amount we are using, or there's a difference now?
Okay. The amount that has been allocated for this very project in the budget is 242 million Ghana cedis.
242 million Ghana cedis.
That is what has been allocated in the budget.
Right.
Now, the total cost of the project His Excellency, the President of the Republic, will come out on the day of the cutting of the sword to give the details.
Why should we wait? Why should we wait? A place for cutting you, but then why are we waiting for the day of the sword cutting before we announce how much money was invested in the construction?
No,
what's behind that?
We have not invested money in the construction. We are talking about process.
Right.
We are talking about process. We have not invested money yet in the construction. You need to take it stage by stage.
Right.
The first thing is that in the process or the methodology that we are using now, if you've not budgeted, you cannot spend. You understand? The first step is for you to budget before you can spend. I hope you are getting me right.
Educate me more on that.
The president has the final authority to come out, cutting the sword, will give all the details concerning the project. But what we are happy with is that we have seen the contractors taking possession of site.
Yes, sir. Forgive me for coming in again, please. I mean, earlier you mentioned that Parliament has approved an amount of 242 million Ghana cedis for this project.
It doesn't mean that all the said amount of money will be spent, or it doesn't mean that that amount of money will reach the project. You understand?
But for now, and for record's sake, that's the amount of money given by Parliament. Am I right?
Exactly. That not given, approved.
Approved.
Yes. We are talking about approval. That is what has been approved.
Right.
So if you are spending now, before you spend more than that, you need to go back to Parliament to seek approval. That is how that works. And then also, you may make budgetary allocation for a project, and the project may cost more than what you have allocated.
Right.
So this year, for instance, if that is what has been allocated, and the project cost is more than what has been allocated, the following year or the subsequent years, you make additional allocations and then spend to the end of the project, and then you hand over the project. I hope you understand this process. That is how it works. And I'm saying that His Excellency the President, on the day of cutting the sword, which will be done very soon, he will indicate to Ghanaians the full cost of the project, the scope of work, and the duration. I hope you understand.
Yes, I'm listening, Honorable.
I want to leave those ones for His Excellency the President himself to, deal with.
Initially, I know they were moved to make sure that a relocation was done permanently for the people who suffered from the destruction of the sea once it came to the land.
Pardon?
I'm saying initially, can you hear me please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Initially, the permanent movements from the area by people who were affected by the sea and all that faced a bit of work. How sure are we that these people are willing to move from where they are to a new place for work to actually go on?
Oh, in fact, where we are, we have cited for the tent and for the housing unit. It's not far from where they are staying currently. It's not far from where they are. It's within the same community. The only challenge is that if we want to take them out of the community, because the people are mainly fishermen. They rely on the sea for their livelihood. So if you take them far from the sea, then you need to give them alternative, source of livelihood.
Right.
Yes, that is why we have a challenge. And as we speak, they are not going to sea. The women who depend on the fishermen to buy fish and smoke and sell, they are also not in business currently. They are also not in business. Their children are in school. They need to live a decent life. So that is why we as government, through the Regional Coordinating Council, we are doing our best to ensure that the life becomes better for them.
This is a huge burden on government. Hopefully, it gets resolved. But then, as we move forward, how do we ensure that
we need to, appeal to the private sector as well.
Right.
As we speak, we still need full staff for them. We still need to build the housing unit for the people. We are talking about 1,200 plus people.
Yes.
Displaced. Some are now keeping up in tent. Some are living with their relatives. So we will do our best to make sure that we don't have any casualties, and so far I think we will gradually get out of this danger.
All right, well, before I let you go, kindly, what do you have to tell the people of the Volta region, especially those who have been greatly affected by the destruction caused by the sea?
Yeah, I want to tell them that hope has come. We believe that at the end of the day, the life will come to normalcy and the work will be done. This sea defense project that was left or abandoned for 8 years. Now, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, is committed to seeing an end to their suffering by constructing the sea defense project for them. So they should continue to pray for His Excellency, the President. They should continue to pray for this government, and they should continue to pray for Ghana, and let's do this together. And I will continue to serve them as the President representative. I bear with them their pains, but if the MPP had continued that project for 8 years, we wouldn't have been where we are today.
You spent a couple of time. I mean, acknowledge the fact that the MPP didn't do anything.
Yes, I need to point out that because governance is supposed to be a continuous thing. So how come that a government did a phase one of this project and you saw people suffering, you saw people being, homes being destroyed by tidal waves, and you've been in government for 8 solid years. Not even a provision was made in your budget to construct or to continue that sea defense project. The people were displaced. You never went there to even give them a cup of gari or rice. You've never done that.
NADMO was never there to give them anything when these things happened?
NADMO was never there to give them anything.
Is that not contentious?
They were never there to give them anything.
Is that not contentious?
Under the MPP. They promised they were
Honorable
going
Minister,
to do
I'm asking, is that not contentious? Can that not be contended that NADMO never went there to give any deliverables?
I am aware that His Excellency the President and his brother Ibrahim Mahama has gone there. The Member of Parliament, Ablaji Fagomashti, has been there, but I'm not aware of any intervention by the MPP, for the 8 years that they've been in power.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm grateful. Now, so I've been speaking to Honorable James Gunu, who is Volta Regional Minister. And we've been speaking about the Blekusu Sea Defense Project. Even though what it is now, the government has awarded phase 2 of that Blekusu Sea Defense Project to Amandi Constructions Holdings Limited, bringing hope to residents of Agevaji, Salikope, and surrounding coastal communities battered by destructive tidal waves. Volta Regional Minister James Gunu, who we just spoke with, announced earlier that the development in a Facebook post confirming that Amandi is already mobilizing equipment and setting up an operational base at Azizaji for the commencement of the full-scale construction. This comes at the back of recent destruction of properties by ever-rising waves, displacing thousands of residents who live along the coast while bringing businesses to a total halt. The situation also threatened the only road linking the coastal business towns as Aplao through Denu to Keita to support affected residents. The Volta Regional Coordinating Council, VRCC, in collaboration with Exim Bank, has provided temporary shelters to facilitate relocation to safer areas. The Volta Regional Minister, who we just spoke with once again, also revealed that there are plans for a permanent resettlement project to house those displaced by the tidal waves, while expressing gratitude to President John Dramani Mahama, and for several times stating that the MPP government during their tenure almost did nothing. And earlier, the Keita South Municipal Assembly requested an amount of $83 million for the 4.2-kilometer construction of the sea defense. And now government has approved an amount of 242 million Ghana cedi to be used for the construction. But according to Honorable Minister of the Volta region, James Gunu, he says probably it may be more or less when construction finally comes to an end. So hopefully we'll be following up keenly and to give you all the update. But for now, let's go all the way to Parliament. Well, my colleague Jeffrey Atipo is at Job 600, where the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumani Gbagbin, is meeting with Iyoko Straj and the Office of the Special Prosecutor to initiate an award scheme where institutions with best practices to fight corruption will be awarded. Hopefully Metro TV will get something that's a private company. Anyway, so my colleague Jeff Atipo is on the phone line for conversation. Jeff, good afternoon to you. Welcome to Good Afternoon Ghana. What more can you tell us?
All right, thank you, Bryce. As we speak, the meeting is still currently ongoing,
right,
between Speaker and the accountability institutions. I mean, when we talk about accountability institutions, we're talking about Straj, we're talking about Yoko, we're talking about the Office of the OSP, we're talking about the Police CID, and the police institution as well. So these are key institutions that when it comes to accountability, you cannot take them out. So these are the people that the speaker is meeting. He's actually meeting heads of these institutions. So I've seen the likes of Mr. Wittal and the representative of the OSP is also here. We've seen some were not able to come. Some heads of institutions were not able to come as expected, but we've seen their representatives who are equally top-notch people within those institutions. So the conversation is still ongoing, but just that the side of the media has ended. The speaker has been addressing the media. Mr. Joseph Wittal, who heads the STRAJ, also has been speaking, and also the clerk to Parliament, Mr. Jetro, have all been speaking with regards to these awards. Now, when we talk about these integrity awards,
right, go on.
If you recall, in March this year, during the first sitting of the 9th Parliament, the Speaker, in a formal statement, announced that these awards scheme is going to be instituted to make sure that individuals who perform well or who conduct themselves in office would be rewarded. And also, there's one also called the Vulture Awards, which goes to individuals who misconduct themselves. And the speaker has been, yes, heads of institutions in particular, people who are holding public office, but have either conducted themselves well or misconducted themselves. There's an award for such individuals, and it's been programmed in such a way that there's a committee that the speaker said is going to be setting up, which would be able to determine who takes which awards and who doesn't take. So that's the conversation. So it is always important for the Speaker of Parliament to bring these heads of the accountability institutions to have a conversation about the way forward, how they are going to go about this to ensure also that there's some equity in the display or the issuing out of this award. So that is what one of the key reasons why the Speaker has actually assembled all these top individuals to have a conversation. But the Speaker has been very clear during the discussions that so many things are going on in the country, which are very, very bad. And for him, as the Speaker of Parliament, he wouldn't sit down with all the authorities that he has as a legislator or someone who heads the legislature. A lot is looking to his face or to his eyes to be able to make sure that there is some level of accountability of individuals holding office positions are able to conduct themselves. So he was very emphatic about that whatever is going to take, or whatever the situation is going to be, he will make sure that with the powers that he has, he's able to transform the country to make sure that, the things that he thinks that are going on, which is not right, all the goods will be, changed or reversed. So like I said earlier, the Vulture Awards, for instance, is going to be for individuals who misconduct themselves. And the Speaker indicated that these individuals are going to be invited to the events where the awards scheme, the awards program is going to be held. And whether they participate or not, these awards are going to be hanged, whatever it has to be hanged, just for the public to know that these are individuals who are misbehaving, who are misconducting themselves, and for the public to judge what sanctions probably going forward will have to be meted out to such individuals. So it was a very, very fruitful conversation, and the Speaker continued to say that this particular scheme is going to be, they are going to legislate this particular scheme. Yes, the Integrity Award is going to be legislated. So it becomes a law. And so the moment you go contrary to any of the provisions within the law, you have yourself to blame. When the law comes knocking at your door, you have yourself to blame. So the steps that Speaker is taking now clearly signifies that these information he gave out in March this year is actually seeing the light of day. He has also indicated that he has been able to meet other key individuals, some of the CSOs that are expected to be a part of the scheme. He has engaged some of them. And so it's something that is progressing. And he believes that it's going to go a long way to make sure that there's some sanity, particularly at the public sector where there have been so many roads for some time now.
Jeff, I hope I didn't miss that, but did you mention or did you hear their mode of selection?
Well, it is yet to come out. That's why I indicated that there's going to be a committee put together. They are going to be
a committee is not going to be set up.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So the conversations have started. So a committee will be set up, and the selection is not going to be coming from the Speaker of Parliament, but it is the committee that is going to be making the recommendation as to who conducted or misconducted themselves. So it's going to be based on the committee. And he indicated that this is not just going to be a committee, but he believes that a committee with a very high integrity, which will have to involve people with high integrity in society. So those are the people that are going to be constituting the board, who will be either nominating or bringing names of people who may have missed or conducted themselves or may have misconducted themselves. So that is exactly how it's going to be, but it's not going to be coming directly from the Speaker. But he indicated that, listen, there's some information within the executives, within the domain of the executives, that the Parliament is unable to succeed with the steps that it is taking. It's going to be very difficult for Parliament to succeed in this particular initiative. But Speaker, re-emphasized that with all the positions that he has held back in school and many other positions, and with the work that he has done, he believes in integrity, keeping very, very good integrity. So he sent a signal to those in executive thinking that this is going to be a flaw. He will not. He's going to disappoint them. That he is going to take charge. He's leading this particular charge, and for that matter, Parliament as a whole is leading this particular charge to make sure that sanity returned within the various public institutions with regards to conduct of individuals.
Just days ago, the President, John Dramani Mahama, in an engagement, stated that even the fight against corruption has been extended to individuals who are not directly into politics, but are private individuals who are one way or the other linked to politics. And so the gap or the reach to fight corruption has been extended. So hopefully, Jeff, we get to see if some of such individuals are also awarded for their sanity and fight against corruption.
Yeah, but obviously, the Vulture Award is going to be very, very interesting. We will be getting to see individuals who are going to be getting these awards. And I'm just looking at it, how it's going to look like for you to be mentioned publicly or in a public event by your name and probably your picture posted over there that you have done this, you have done, or you misconducted yourself in a way like this or that. It's going to be very, very interesting. And with the way Speaker is speaking out, right, I can tell you that this thing, within the next 3 years that the Speaker of Parliament is going to be in charge as the head of Parliament, I believe with the posture that he has actually put across, it's telling me in particular that there's going to be some action in the days to come. So we look forward to that. It is always important that as people, we actually make sure that, we put our integrity on a certain level, not to misconduct ourselves. So for the Speaker of Parliament to take this initiative, for me in particular, I think that it's a step in the right direction, and we look forward to how it all ends. But before I take leave of you, I want to let the viewers know that we are going to be bringing the speech from the Speaker of Parliament, that of the Shark boss, and also Mr. Jetro, who is also clerk to Parliament, of what is valid they have been saying at this particular meeting.
Right. Okay, Jeffrey, I believe you bring us more during our news time at 7 p.m. and probably tomorrow on Good Morning Ghana and Good Afternoon Ghana. But I'm thinking there's something the Office of the Special Prosecutor led by Kessie Jeben will be really happy about. At least they get to see those who are also doing well and not just those who are, causing more corruption and financial mistrust and all that. And so thank you so much, Jeffrey Atipo. He's our parliamentary correspondent. He's currently in Parliament, not in the House, but rather Job 600, one of the offices where the conversation had just happened. And so, yes, if you missed the conversation, it's all about the fact that the Speaker of Parliament has initiated an awards scheme for individuals in public sectors who are doing well and not engaging corruption and probably helping in the fight against corruption. And so, yes, we get to see who are doing well. But earlier here on the show, we spoke with Professor Ilyasu Mumuni, who is the National Secretary of UTAG, in connection to the association, including TUTAG, UTAG, CTAG, giving government an ultimatum to Friday the 13th of June to make sure that election rate is released to help them in monies that they'll be getting in their research and all that, because, the cities are sitting and it should reflect in their monies as well, or else they'll be on strike. And don't you forget, I also spoke on the issue concerning the extension of the implementation of the one city fuel levy to the 16th of June. What exactly are stakeholders talking about concerning this? And we spoke to Benjamin Insia. Benjamin Insia, if you don't know who he is the director for Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy here in Ghana, telling us that, listen, it could compound the problems of the petroleum sector if not properly done. And he doesn't even think it will actually help solve the problems. But anyways, a bit of positivity in there. He thinks once Ghana pays them, people pay the money, at least some of these things will be done. And so hopefully we'll see what happens as well. But in a quick rebuttal that we spoke to the deputy PRO for the GPRTU, Samuel Ano, he says that they are waiting on an engagement with government, or they will pull a silent strike, what they say, a quiet demonstration where cars are not moved, commercial transport is not moving. So if you don't have a vehicle, personal vehicle, you might end up trekking, probably to work. And so those of you who live at Kaswa and work somewhere around, you might be thinking, you might be thinking and praying that government engage with them in this consultation to ensure that an amicable understanding is attained. And earlier, I also spoke on conversation concerning the Blekuso Sea Defense Project, where an amount of 242 million Ghana cedi has been approved by government, submitted to Parliament by the Finance Minister, Honorable Kesla, to force into Parliament. Initially, the Ketusal Municipal Assembly requested for an amount of $83 million for the construction. It's about 4.2 kilometer stretch. And so the minister, the Honorable Volta Regional Minister, the person of Gunu, James Gunu, believes that the NDC administration under the John Dramani Mahama administration will make sure they see the completion of the project. And so this has been our content here for you on Good Afternoon Ghana. Don't forget, my colleague Desmond Okrekudaso was here earlier with all the latest trends across the country, politics, economics, business, and all that here on Good Afternoon Ghana. I am Bryce and Akwesi Manin, and I did this for the usual host, Annie Efrompofo. At some other time, I believe tomorrow Akwesi Free will be here with the business edition of the show. Have a good afternoon and enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.
Back in the day, tune in radio from morning, and you don't want to miss out, because anybody who comes on is massive.
You know what I mean? At the time, no one really was coming out to say I'm doing it, because you were there. And to be honest with you, you were one of the people that intimidated me. You and a guy called Devastator.
Back in the day, mentioning the place that you used to live, that meant that you were Dadaba.
Oh, how?
Because we are the ones who went to Saito.
I wasn't really a nightclub person.
No, I mean,
the only times I went to the nightclub, Yoko Dixon took me.
Yeah. You have a Walkman by your side.
Now that was your selector. The Walkman was your selector. So when you play the first song and you want to change the song, you have to start cueing your next song through your headphone.
Hi, my name is Ivan Kwashiga. I'm the CEO of Farmhouse Productions. I'm a film director, producer. You are watching Back in the Days with Sammy B on Metro TV.
Masa, we're a guy and yes, Sammy B a feature. This is Back in the Day. Keep watching.
Last season, we brought you the hottest trending music videos, insightful interviews with your favorite celebrities, and some dance moves.
We also got your favorite celebrity talking about their deep, goofy, and interesting sides you and I can see on cameras and social media.
But hold up, this season we are bringing you a whole new different vibe. Spanking new videos, top 5 countdown, and the all-new segment dubbed MVC Experience, where we bring you close to music, fun, and more interesting vibes.
Join the vibe this and every Saturday on Metro Television.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles, MVC Official TV.
Clean your compound every morning. It's cheaper than treating malaria. Don't wait for government. Lead the change.
Watch out for Cook Africa Season 2 coming to Metro TV with Ahiniwa. This time around, we are coming with some surprises, prizes, and of course, it's Ghana Month. So watch out for some local delicacies on Cook Africa with your favorite Ahiniwa.
Hello everyone, you remember this face, right? My name is Nanaya Tanua Boache, a familiar face on Entertainment Review. On ER Extra, I'm bringing you the unexpected, the extra, and the undercurrents behind the entertainment news. You can call it a weekly recap on Entertainment Review on Metro Television, but ER Extra brings you the extra you have been waiting for. What part of the interview or news from Entertainment Review do you need clarity on? What did you make of the whole interview? I'll bring you the recap, the highlights, and the unanswered questions on Entertainment Extra. Let's interact on ER Extra every Saturday on Metro TV social handle. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us on ER Extra. Let's interact.
I'm Phil Gale. Welcome to the program. Russia and Ukraine have completed the first stage of their latest prisoner swap. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the exchange is happening in several stages. Severely wounded soldiers and those under 25 are among the troops to be returned. This was one of the only points agreed by negotiators from the two sides at talks in Istanbul this month. Let's get more from our special correspondent, Mariel Muller in Kyiv. Welcome, Mariel. What more can you tell us about this prisoner swap?
Yeah, as you said, this prisoner swap is the result of direct talks between Ukraine and Russia that took place earlier this month in Istanbul. And both sides in these talks have agreed to exchange prisoners of war that are under the age of 25, that are sick or severely wounded. At least 1,200 prisoners of war will be exchanged on each side. And today it's not clear how many were swapped. Both sides have not commented on this, but they have said that it's the same amount of military personnel. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine has received the first group And he also said that it's a very complex procedure. It has many sensitive details to it, and that negotiations are actually taking place almost every day. He also said that Ukraine is counting on the implementation of humanitarian agreements that were made and reached in Istanbul. And he also said that Ukraine will do everything possible to bring back every single person.
Okay, negotiations happening every day, and I understand that this nearly fell apart over the weekend.
Yeah, that's true. This agreement is very fragile, and you could see that over the weekend because it was planned that the swap would take place. Over the weekend, it wasn't clear when exactly, and Russia claimed then that Ukraine was delaying the process, that it had handed over a list of 640 POW to Ukraine, and that it also the bodies of over 1,000 Ukrainian soldiers ready at the agreed exchange point at the border, but Ukrainian officials did not show up. That's according to Russian authorities. Of course, Ukraine denies these allegations and says it is Russia that did not stick to the agreed preconditions of the swap, especially when it comes to compiling also the lists of the POWs.
And despite the swap, the violence is increasing.
Yeah, that's true. Just last night, actually, there was one of the largest, there was a large-scale attack again of drones and missiles. Russia launched 500 of them, and the Ukrainian air defense was able to shoot down 479. Yeah, it was one of many